Keshav, thank you very much for joining us here. So, how are things looking forward in 2016?
Well, from a BPM point of view, looks really good. Irrespective of whatever people are talking about the disruption themes and things like that. So, Govind, from a BPM point of view, we have incorporated all of these so-called disruptors into our business model and our delivery model.
Okay. You mean automation and artificial intelligence?
Whether it is social, mobile, analytics, cloud, business process as a service, the whole robotics model, a little bit of artificial intelligence, all of it. And all of us have also brought in lots of technology and automation, in fact, to be very, very dangerous if you ask me, and are driving nonlinear models of growth. And remember, to deliver 3 to 5% productivity gains back to a client, you need to have all of this. So I think we've been extremely nimble over the past few years. So all of this is actually playing in quite well. Our growth rates look good, our profits look very good, our business pipeline looks excellent, and our balance sheets look strong.
Right. So, but when you talked about business process management as a larger theme, but there are a few things perhaps which are stirring on the horizon, and of course one is automation. Now, your industry is perhaps the most vulnerable. Now, you've got 31,000 people working for you. Now, at this point of time, your revenues are pacing ahead of your headcount. But could that change? And as many people predict, could this be the year that things turn around?
No, actually, like I said, we have co-opted all these models. If you look at, any report, any analyst report on robotics process automation, you will actually see WNS is one of the companies positioned as the absolute leader, as one of the companies that has incorporated, this model. And I think the wonderful thing is because there's so much of talk now about robotics process automation and all of these kind of things, that clients who earlier blocked us from introducing these models into their process actually are allowing us to get in. So what's actually happening?
Can you give us an illustration of such a client, or maybe not naming people, but generally what?
So many, across our verticals, and across geographies, we are seeing more and more clients who earlier said that, why do you want to experiment with my process, for this particular model? Actually say we're quite comfortable because now this is a buzzword that has caught on very well, maybe thanks to the IT industry's ability or inability to react to it. I think the BPM model has actually reacted extremely well, and WNS as a company has actually responded very well over the past few years, and we are driving this. So a number of our new offerings are based on repeatable tasks and commoditized services actually being driven by computerized robots, with the higher value services being delivered by people. So we are very comfortable with the model.
Right. So I asked you about 2016 and how things were shaping up. What are the other things on the horizon? What are clients doing things differently this year or next year perhaps as a continuation, which could put pressure on the way you do things?
So I think the only thing that can put pressure on the way we do things is timing of clients' decisions, right? In terms of when they actually decide to move ahead with the journey. Our pipeline looks solid. Our strategic messages are resonating extremely well. We are still seeing the business climate as under-penetrated. We are actually seeing a number of first-timers get on the bandwagon at this point in time.
When you say first-timers, these are companies who have not used business
never
process
outsourced
management or outsourced.
Not even outsourced.
So even in this day and age,
it is surprising. You see the kind of companies that are getting in and getting into this model. But I think the difference is the resonance and the trust that they have in us as strategic partners is far higher than they would have had in the past, because they have understood that today, in this day and age of digital disruption, we are a company that can actually lead them and take them through whatever mess they're facing in terms of their own business solutions, in terms of helping them understand where clients are, where their competition is rather than, and more importantly also helping them in terms of decision support, right? And leading them as opposed to just following them. And this is a theme that we're seeing with many clients, our existing clients as well as new clients, saying, lead me because you know our business better than we know it.
Right. So you're in India, but you're also talking about acquiring overseas. You already have an overseas presence. How do you see that mix playing out? I mean, what role will India continue to play in future, and do you see yourself being more spread out?
India will continue to be the country from which higher value services are delivered and will continue to do the heavy lifting. At the same time, India will be the geography that will co-opt all these other countries into its model, whether it is Sri Lanka, whether it is Manila, whether it is South Africa, whether it is, any of the other countries. The reality, I'm clear about is that the services that are offered from some of these countries really cannot be delivered from India. But in the new BPM model that we have pioneered,
what are these services? Give me an example.
All the new services. Today, clients do not have to manage multiple vendors in each geography. Today, they just appoint WNS to manage an entire finance and accounting activity across the globe. And that could include treasury, that could include FP&A, that could include, order to cash, procure to pay, record to reserve, whatever. But they know that one company can manage all of it across the globe. And there are certain elements that can only happen from certain geographies, right? So again, I want to build the comfort that India has actually expanded beyond the shores of India and have actually co-opted all these countries into its model.
So what are the one or two areas that India is known for? I mean, India is known for and delivers well, at least from your world.
I think, from a domain point of view, in many business domains, India, clients have a lot of comfort around Indian talent and their understanding of business domains. I think finance and accounting and business analytics for the long term will be the areas that India will rule the roost in. And again, if you see the growth coming for WNS, it is these two areas that are actually leading growth for the company across all business verticals.
Right. So a lot of companies are going digital, planning for digital. How do you see that process? I mean, is it possible to plan 3 years ahead for digital? Can you even plan 1 month ahead? How uncertain is this?
See, my thinking is far simpler than that, Govind, because when I look at a client, today it's fashionable to talk about digital enterprise and innovation and all of those good things. But when we interact with clients, we're actually interacting from a business process point of view with the CEO on the other side, the CFO, or the head of operations, people who have to deliver business outcomes, not just cost reduction or things like that. They have to deliver to shareholders, and they therefore want to work with people like us who can lead them in that direction. And so from that point of view, when you actually sit and look at a client, the client has three needs. There is a traditional part of the business that still needs to be serviced from an FTE point of view, because the people there don't know any other model. There is a transitional model where you've done work for 5-6 years and these guys are happy to move to outcome-based models, new models. It's in the same company itself. And then there is these new, extremely smart new people who are coming in and saying, we'll move with this new innovative digital models, and you got to partner them there as well. So I think WNS takes pride in being able to partner a company across all the three areas. And from that point of view, we think that is the way to be in terms of being an extension of the enterprise for a client, and that's how we want to be.
Right. So last question. So what's the one big disruption that could happen in 2016?
Well, the one big disruption that could happen is, you spoke about digital models, you spoke about impact of analytics and things like that, but I can say that in a number of areas, I think some of these technology thinking along with intelligent thinking could integrate across different service lines. And I'll give you one example. So if you look at it, WNS is a leader in the travel segment. And therefore, within the travel segment, there is an airline segment. And traditionally, our service has been around providing customer support, managing the various cards for airlines, things like that. At the same time, separately, we interact with the hotel chains, we interact with the cruise lines, we interact with the the car people, the rental cars and things like that. But today, the big disruption that we have announced, for example, in the industry is we have announced one disruption solution that integrates all of this through our platform. Right? On the one hand, it talks to the platform makers to whom all these people have to go. On the other hand, it is customized solutions around every airline separately, such that when you book a ticket today through my disruption solution, if there is a change, again, caused by disruption, maybe a snowfall, maybe a volcano, and what happens today, everything goes for a toss.
Yeah.
Today, using the disruption solution, my engine will rebook your ticket, will reposition your car booking, will rebook your hotel booking, as well as send an SMS or an email to your loved ones in terms of when you're landing up there at the other location, and also probably send you a message saying where your bag is lost. Now that is disruption. right? It is now integrating all of these models. It is bringing all the value chain together, and it allows me to charge on a subscription model basis. I have a fixed cost this side, and therefore the sky is the limit in terms of revenue. So these are the kind of things some of us are doing.
Right. This sounds interesting, and I hope I don't lose my bag, but I do hope to use your service someday.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Keshav.
Look forward to that. Thanks. Thank you.